more are they that are with us than they that are with them. He said, God, open his eyes. Allow him to see the things that I am seeing that are not temporal. And God opened his eyes and he realized that the armies of God was with his servants. As Paul tells us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places. He said the weapons of our warfare, they are not carnal, but they are mighty for the pulling down of stronghold. Why is it that we are fighting and not pulling down anything? Because we are not desperate. We don't have enough faith. We are not dedicated. We are distracted and frustrated. Elisha said now, after he take them in the city of Samaria, he said, King, he opened their eyes. When he opened their eyes, those that come to kill him, they were so shocked. They had to be of themselves. The king said, Elisha, should I kill them? Should I kill them, Elisha? But Elisha said, no, no, no. Don't kill them. Just feed them and send them home. And the text says, when he did that, the Syrians come to Israel no more. They come no more. But the Bible tells us that the devil will leave you for a season. The text tells us that there's a Syrian king that come up and he sent into Israel again and he besieged the city of Samaria and he besieged it so much so that famine come upon the land and nobody have nothing to eat. People were selling bird doodle, bird dung for food. People were eating ass and unclean meat because the people of God have forsake God to the point where God leave us to go bottom out and get down to the worst, because when we should remember him, we do not. And they were there, and the king was so disturbed. The Bible said he was walking on the wall of the city, and he saw a woman saying, King, oh king, come and help us. Come and help me. The king said, what have I to do with the old lady? If God has not given you, how can I give to you? But the woman says, please hear me out. My situation is desperate. My situation don't still good. My situation needs some help, and I need somebody to listen to me. The lady said, the famine has gotten so bad that I and my neighbor have devised a plan. And the plan is this: we will eat our sons, and I put my son forth first, and we boil him and eat him. And today is the day that we should eat her son. But she hid her son. When the king heard it, he was shocked out of his mind. And so it is in the church sometime when we are not listening to God, and when we don't know how to deal with trials, it's sure how weak we are. We turn to some wicked things to find solution. We turn to some wicked action in order to solve the problem. The king was so shocked out of his mind. The king rent his clothes. He tore his garment. He went into fasting. Now him start to blame Elisha. My God, Elisha was there to help. So it is sometimes when you're in the church to help, but because you are talking truth, people start not like you. People want to bring you down, even though you and them are on the same team. Oh Lord, awake, Zion, awake and trim your lamp, and the Son of Man shall appear and heal his people. And Elisha went now. The king set up himself to kill Elisha. And when the servant come, oh my God, Elisha said, listen to me carefully. I have a word from the Lord. The Lord said, tomorrow The famine will be over. I'm telling you, sometime some people in the church is so negative that even when they hear the word of the Lord, they despise it because they don't believe it. The servant said, Elisha, even if the windows of heaven would be open, this thing not happening what you say. The situation is so dire, I can't see it turn around as quick as you are saying. The situation is so bad, I don't see how it's going to change. So he start to speak against God. But I hear Elisha saying, because you have failed to believe, because you don't know the God in whom we serve, because you are not trusting, this thing will happen. You are going to see it, but you're not going to eat. You are going to die when it happens tomorrow. And Elisha, my God, sometime in the church, we believe that God only can talk to certain people, but God talk to anybody. All God wants is some people to believe. He just wants some people that think that it is possible. As Jesus asked the leopard, canst thou believe? The leopard said, yes, I do believe. The text tells us that there was 4 leopards sitting out of the gate of Israel because they were put outside the city.
Yes. Praise God. Yeah, I know your word, God.
They were put outside the city. You think quarantine is new? No, no, no. Quarantine exists from biblical times. They were put outside the city because they were unclean and they can't defile the city. And the 4 lepers have more sense than those who are on the inside. Even though their circumstances is telling everybody that they are the lowest and they are the worst. All God needs is just some people to believe. The lepers sit down and they said to themselves, my God, the audacity not to fear. This no make any sense to us, leopard. If we stay out here and sit down, we are going to die. Famine is inside the city. If we go inside there, we are going to die. And if we don't do nothing, we are going to die. So the only reasonable thing to do is to find the Syrian. They don't have famine. If they kill us, that would have happened to us anyway. But the possibility exists that they might not kill us. Sometime you have to sit down and talk to yourself and talk sense in your head. Even though your circumstances don't look like it can work. But they say we have no other choice. If we stay here, we are going to die. If we go in the city, we are going to die. And if we do nothing, we are going to die. So the only option we have, fear might be telling us, say, don't do it because they are our enemies. But we are going to do it because the worst that can happen is the same thing that will happen anyhow we do the other 3. But the possibility might exist that if we trust God, He might answer. And the man decides, say, yes, it sounds like a good counsel. And they begin to walk towards the Syrian army. But God, who is rich in mercy, and God, who is compassionate, as they began to walk, God created an illusional effect where the Syrians sound like in their ears there's a great army, where they start to say to themselves, my God, Israel have joined themselves with the Egyptian army. Israel have joined themselves with another army. For as the amount of men we hear coming, their army is not as large, but it was only 4 men. And many of us must understand that within that belief, all things are possible. And the men walk to the camp. The Syrians run. Run! The men walk into the camp. They get food, they get clothes, they get gold, they get silver, and they take it out and they go bury it. And they go back and they take out more and they go bury it. The men actually become rich because they talk sense in their head. And they had enough faith to believe that God is able. They said to themselves, this thing is too marvelous. We can't keep it to ourselves. Because some of us, anytime we start to get blessed, because we want to show off on one another and feel like God is blessing us more than others, we keep it to ourselves. But the men say we can't do this, because it would be evil. Let us go tell Israel that the Syrians are gone. When he sent the message to the king, can you always have somebody who should have sense that allow demons to talk to them in their head? And we do it all the time inside the church. When he sent to the king is saying, oh no, we won't go there, because if we go there, what is actually happening, the Syrians are hiding so that when we come out to go in the camp, they will overtake our city, so therefore we can't do that.
My God.
But what ended up happening when they got down there, because the Syrians were so scared and they wanted to lighten up themselves, they threw away their spear, they threw away their sword, they threw away their clothes so that they can run faster. And when the men go on the way, they said there's no way the Syrian could be planning to come and besiege us by throwing away these. And they sent back to the king and said, oh king, it don't look like where you tell us I saw it go. It look like the leopards were right. So therefore come now. And when the king announced it to the city, and the whole city start to run to go and get their freedom and to overcome their famine, the Bible says the man that did not believe Elisha was standing in the gate, and the people in their frenzy run over him and kill him because he failed to believe God. He saw it with his eyes, as the prophet said, but he did not taste or eat of it.
My God.
We have to learn to believe. We teach our faith all the while, and we talk about it and we say it. But why is our circumstances, why are our circumstances not changing? Because we fail to believe. We fail to trust and obey. We fail to follow what God say. We fail to believe. We fail to be desperate because we have answers for our circumstances. So therefore, we don't want to believe. But I hear the story says, Jairus have his daughter, and he came to the Lord. I said, Lord, my daughter died. So even in death, Jairus never give up. Even though his daughter was gone, he still believed. That is what faith does. It takes you beyond what you are seeing and allow you to believe beyond that. And while Jairus was taking Jesus, Jesus said, all right, go ahead and let me follow you. I am telling you, Virgin, if you are not desperate, you won't experience the power of God. The text tells us in closing that there's a woman that had an issue of blood for 12 years. The other gospel tells us that she went to every doctor that money can buy. So much so that all her life saving is spent off. She have no other choice. I am telling you, let me zone in on this woman for you. Let me show you how audacious she was. Let me show you how bold she was. Let me show you how she trampled fear under her feet. Under the Levitical priesthood. In Leviticus chapter 15, if you have an issue of blood, you are like a leper. You're not supposed to be with crowds are. You're supposed to be by yourself. Not even the tabernacle of God you're supposed to go in. Not even your family members should touch you. Because if they touch you, they become unclean quarantined also. So you're supposed to actually be quarantined by yourself. And anybody that is helping you, they must help you from a distance. Because if they touch you or anything that you sit on, they will also become unclean.